Ganesh festival is coming up, and in my house, all my family members, we are all excited about the festival. Obviously, the festivities and the 10 days, but the most sort of thing which actually gets us more excited is the food, different type of food which we make during the festival, and among that, obviously, the modak, the ukdiche modak. So today I'm going to talk about where the modak came from, then also the nutritional value and the different types of modak. People think that modak is a very Maharashtra specific dish, but technically, if you see, modak in its different forms is offered to Ganesha and eaten by people from across the country, not just in Maharashtra. So each state will have its own different dish which is similar to modak. In Maharashtra also there are different types of modaks depending on where you are, and the ingredients also change according to the geography. In today's talk I'm going to talk about the history, the relevance of why we eat or why we offer modak to Ganpati, and also a little bit about in today's COVID times the nutritional value of the modak. Talking a bit about the history of Modak, like how it came to be, in the form that we serve it today. There are quite a few references to Modak. One reference which Mr. K.T. Acharya's book talks about, the historical dictionary of Indian food, where he explains the relevance to different types of Indian sweets. In that, he says that the modak term comes like a connotation of the word laddukam or laddus. So laddus, obviously, we know that they've been in use for a long time. They were first mentioned, obviously, in the Mahabharata, and then also in Sushruta Samhita, where they talked about the medicinal properties of the laddus in different forms. So, til, khobra, all these type of ingredients which make a laddu, or seeds or groundnuts. So they make the laddu very medicinal, and with the use of either honey or jaggery as a sweetening agent. So this the modak actually term comes from that name laddukam, and it's a connotation of that word. But in terms of modak, if you see the word in itself, it is something which makes you happy. Mod means happy, so something which that makes you happy. So that word actually again goes back and forth. So you have a lot of Sanskrit texts which talk about one modagam in say Tamil Nadu, and then in also Bengal as well as Assam as well. So there are different words to it. Mythologically, if you speak, there are many stories of the modak related to Ganpati, on why it came to be offered to Ganpati in our form today, the way we celebrate the festival. I think the most interesting bit was when Ved Vyas requested Ganpati to write the epic or complete the epic Mahabharata. Ganpati laid out a term that he will help him write the epic only if he recites it continuously. But Vedvyasa's condition was that Ganpati has to understand each and every verse and then write it. So when they started it, obviously Ganpati had this power of continuously writing of knowledge and wisdom. So he understood every verse as Vedvyasa recited it, and obviously Vedvyasa couldn't take a break because they had decided that it's going to be a continuous process. And in that, Vedvyasa decided that he is going to offer Ganpati a modak or something sweet, so that Ganpati will stop writing, and then he will have a little bit of a break and compose his thoughts about the Mahabharata. So this is one very interesting story which talks about modak and Ganpati. The other interesting story, which is when Shiva and Parvati and Ganpati were went to Anusuya's house, or Rishi Atri's wife house, and then she offered a meal to Ganpati, and then Shiva requested for the meal, but she said that I will be able to serve you only after Ganpati is full. So to everybody's surprise, Ganpati never got full, and that is the reason in there was a chance that Shiva will not get any food. So in that way, she offered a sweet or a dumpling to Ganpati, and that made him completely full, and Shiva could then get his share of the food made by Anusuya. So this was another story, and then there is another very interesting story, which again is a little bit of a folklore or a story which kids teachers will tell kids, is that the gods offered a modak, a special modak with special powers of wisdom and knowledge to Shiva and Parvati, and they told that whoever consumes that modak will be knowledgeable and very wise. So Parvati wanted both her sons to have the modak, but they couldn't decide who is going to have the modak. So they kept fighting. Kartikeya and Ganpati kept fighting over that modak. So Parvati decided to put them on a test. So she told them that you have to take the round of the 3 times you have to take the round of the world, and whoever finishes first will get the special modak. So Kartikeya got ready and actually made the 3 rounds of the earth. Ganpati didn't move from his place, and eventually when Kartikeya was going to finish his 3rd round, he just went around 3 times around Parvati and Shiva, and said, the reference was that he said that you two are, or my family or my parents are my world. So he made a round around Shiva and Parvati 3 times. Impressed by this, she offered this special modak to Ganpati. So these are sort of the interesting stories. There are many others, like everywhere you go, every folklore will talk different things about how Ganpati reveres or loves modak, or how it was offered to him first. And in those references, now today what we celebrate or offer Ganpati the modak during the festival is what. So these are the original stories, or these are the mythological stories which are associated with modak and the Ganpati. So talking about the different types of modak, like I mentioned, it's not just a Maharashtrian thing. People across the country do offer a different form of modak to Ganpati during the festival. One obviously is the Kudumulu in Andhra Pradesh. Then it is the Kolakatai in Tamil Nadu, which is again very similar. They do add a little bit of different things, but it is a modak sort of a thing, very similar to modak, and offered to Ganpati during the festival. In Karnataka, you obviously have the Kadubu, which is also offered in their form, in a form of a karanji or a gujia style, but essentially it's the same, of rice flour dumpling with jaggery and coconut filling inside, in addition to a few other things. So if you see in Maharashtra particularly, as you go across the regions, the type of modak changes. So like the most prevalent ones, obviously we have the ukdiche modak from the Konkan coast, and then you have, if you go towards the Desh side, then obviously you have the Talniche modak. So the ukdiche modak, obviously you have a rice dumpling which is steamed, and the filling is generally coconut, jaggery and cardamom. So obviously you have a sticky rice variety which is actually washed and then sun dried in shade, and then you make a powder of it, and then you cook it. So in Marathi we call it ukad kadne. So when you make it, you make the ukad, and after the ukad is made, you make the saran, which is the filling, which is generally you melt the jaggery, add the coconut to it and a little bit of cardamom powder, and then, so these are the basic 4 ingredients of a ukdiche modak. Then you obviously make So there's a different type of style of making ukdीचे मोदक. Is that for the you have to make it pleated. So you have to actually make a small puri, a round puri, and then make the filling, and then you have to pleat the modak. So the pleating of the modak is the real art. Our grandmothers and my mother can make it, but if I try it for the first time, I will never be able to do it, because you have to get the right consistency of the ukad, as well as you have to get the right thickness of the pari. So then that is actually something which is very crucial. So to get that right, you need years of practice. I think my grandmother could make at least 13 kadya, but my mother can make only 11 or 12. So so that's something which is very interesting, like every household. So even during Ganesh festival, if a new bride is in the house, she has to be trained to make the karya basically, or the pleats of the modak. So that is a very interesting story about the pleats of the modak. So that to get that right is the most sort of crucial thing. If you go, like I said, if you go towards the desh, it is generally the fried modak or talni se modak. So that is made from either rice flour or wheat flour or maida, because rice is not much available in that region. Even the filling is generally, the filling varies basically. Generally it is dried coconut, because fresh coconut is not available and not abundant. It's available, but it's not abundant as it is in the Konkan coast. So, and then there's a mixture of either jaggery and then a little bit of khaskhas to it as well. So these are the type of sweet modaks which are generally offered. They're very interestingly, during the sweet modak, there's also a upvas version of it, where the top portion is made from varai. And then there is also a savory upvas. So savory upvas modak. So varai is something which is generally eaten during fasts in Maharashtra and in the country. So they make the ukad or the pari from varai, and then the filling is again something which is very comfortably okay for fasting. And then there's a savory bit also, which is eaten with danechi amti, which is a curry made from groundnuts. So that's a very rich curry made from groundnuts. So generally this is actually the savory bits, or the modkachi amti is something which is made after you've eaten a lot of sweets for the 10 days of the Ganesh festival. Generally towards the latter end of the festival, you make the modkachi amti. So there's a normal modkachi amti also, which is made in a lot of households. So that is the besan covering, and the inside is again dried coconut, a little bit of ginger, chilies, a little bit of sugar as well, and to make it a little sweet as well as savory. And you eat it with a amti, which is like a dal, which is made using a saring agent, generally kokum or tamarind. So which is a regular amti, and then you eat it like sort of a one pot dish. So this is something which is also very unknown, like a lot of people don't know about this, but modkachi amti is extremely delicious, and a lot of people, like a lot of food writers relate that to a Marathi ravioli. So it's an amti or a dal with a little bit of dumplings, which is like a pasta. So the symbolic meaning of modak, a lot of people believe that modak has a relevance to spirituality also. Obviously the white outer covering represents the purity. The filling of the jaggery in the filling represents the sweetness, and then obviously the coconut represents the abundance. But when you close the modak, the peak actually represents a spiritual realization. So a lot of people believe in this. So a lot of people also believe it has a symbolic meaning, because modak literally means something which will make you happy, or something that makes you happy. So talking a bit about, obviously, the spiritual aspect of the modak, and also the very important aspect, which is the nutritional aspect of the modak. We always say that something sweet is not good for our health, But a modak, if you see, particularly the ukdice modak, which is the rice flour steamed dumplings with a filling in it, so that is something which is very healthy. But before coming to that, talking about a little bit of spirituality, why a modak is considered to be the food of the gods or a preferred food of Ganpati, is because like a lot of people believe that the shape of the modak is also something which is very spiritual. So you have the outer white covering which represents the purity, the jaggery represents the sweetness in somebody's life or sweetness which will come into your life, and obviously the coconut represents the abundance in your life. So this is generally the spiritual meaning of a modak. And then there's also people believe that the peak of the modak is believed to represent a spiritual realization. So that this is what a lot of people believe in this. And coming back to the nutritional aspect of it, obviously the seasonality of the modak also makes a lot of difference. It is offered offered to Ganpati during the festival, which is somewhere around September. So that is the time when the local varieties of rice, particularly in the Konkan region and the Mawar region, is something where we harvest the fresh rice. So when we make the modak also, we need a fresh rice, not an aged rice. So an ambe mohor or an indrayani tandul is something, or a rice variety is what we use. A fresh one or a newly harvested rice is what we generally use to make the modak. So again, that is also very healthy, and it becomes healthy after you add in a little bit of ghee in it, basically. So everything in a modak or everything in an ukdice modak has low glycemic index. So rice, even if it doesn't have a low glycemic index, the moment you add a dollop of ghee on top of it, it makes it healthier. So similarly, jaggery also will help, even if it's sweet or has a little bit of calorific value, but it is still healthy for you. Similarly, same with coconut. So everything is actually a very balanced, it's a balanced meal. So it also an immunity booster, and then you can vary the filling inside, and you can add panchakhadya, which makes it even more nutritious. Panchakhadya means then a mixture of 5 things, which is the kharik, khajur, khaskhas, and khadi sakhar, and a few other things. So that makes it even more healthy or nutritious. So without further ado, I am actually very hungry right now, so I am going to enjoy a modak myself. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite my mother, Mrs. Meena Paranspe, to give a small demo of the way a traditional ukdice modak is made in our homes and in a traditional way.
स्तनभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः यशेव देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः।